Hi, I'm Lawrence Nieves with Faith Finley, and we will be talking about the return of the scholar Gentry. Now remember, in this area of China, we had a long-lasting reign of the Mongol Empire going on, but because of a peasant by the name of Hong Wu, he decided to fight against the Mongol people and eventually created what we now know as the Ming Dynasty. Now, the revival of the scholar Gentry is greatly due to the founding emperor, Hong Wu, as we talked about, its initiative. Hong Wu distrusted the current scholars that were in, but he realized their value to the Chinese government system was extremely important, so he decided to revamp, as we know, the scholar Gentry. He abolished the position of chief ministers and gave himself all of those powers so he could have the most power within China. He also punished corruption and incompetence very heavily so he could have a tight grasp against all of his bureaucratic levels. He tried to stop the emperor's wife from filling the administration system with her own relatives. He did this by making her come from a very, very humble family. Now, what we're going to talk about is the Confucian scholars and how the revival of the Confucian scholars idea stayed with us. So Hongwu brought back the values of the previous Confucian scholars. The civil service exam was reinstalled and was made more difficult. Testers were put in a guarded room with guards and watchtowers where they would be in cubicles. They would spend days and days in these cubicles, waking up, eating, working, sleeping, and repeating the cycle over and over again, taking several days. The first level exam was offered 2 out of 3 years. The next level of testing was only offered every 3 years. People who passed this third level exams were appointed the highest level of government position. Now, as you can assume, there was a lot of competition going on between these people. It was a very difficult and arduous exam, but hundreds and hundreds of Chinese people came in order to do it, to get these very high jobs. We'll talk more about the social mobility.
Along with Confucianism came the revival of Neo-Confucianism. Neo-Confucians came back and continued to support the idea of patriarchy. Women were expected to be subordinate to their husbands and continued to be the caretakers of children, and only gained power when their children were married and they became mothers-in-law. Neo-Confucians also stress the subordination of students to teachers. A good example of this is a Chinese story where a student was disrespectful or rude to a teacher, and the teacher beheaded the student and put the head on display to teach the rest of the students the message. Scholar-peasant divide. Although Hong Liu himself came from a very low social standing and was a peasant, he was not also able to fix the problems within his society. He tried to lower the taxes on specific types of people, but in the short term, the scholar gentry were not heavily taxed, and this caused them to grow very wealthy, while the poor grew even poorer. This caused a great social divide between the two and caused no social mobility to be possible. Thanks for watching.